There's been talk about electoral reforms. We also what happened in 2012, 2008, particularly 2012, quite a number of issues with the elections. We went to court for a number of months. Many even feared that the country was going to turn upside down because of some of the revelations that came up in court. Now, the Supreme Court itself made some recommendations, but many are saying we do not seem to see the EC heeding to those calls by the Supreme Court. Is that something you agree with?
I'm really surprised. You know, if you have been at the forefront when it comes to elections, you realize that some of the things that takes place are things that we, the political parties ourselves, encourage. Okay, there are some of the things too that the EC needs to do. Sometimes we overlook some of the processes involved when it comes to elections. And that is what the MPP used at the court. They were looking at on the face of the pink sheet. They were not looking at the real issues. So the EC has something little to do. How would the forms, in terms of what needs to be written on the forms for people to sign, and so those are the things that the EC needs to look at. Because if you look at some of the issues that came up, if I'm supposed to, let's say, enter resource, and the resource is 248, or let's say 148, and then the person writes 148, okay? And then his agent signs, my agent signs. One may ask, the resource is 148, okay? I have signed, you have signed. At the end of the day, are we going to say that because the person didn't write 148, it is 548? These are the issues. And that work depends on those who are going to actually perform the duty. Because if those who are performing the duty understands what is on the sheet to be filled, they'll make sure the right things are done. If our party agents, we train them very well to understand the issues, we take party agents who are trainable. Because if, as a party, if you send people who are not trainable, at the end of the day, they don't understand anything on the pink sheet. And those same mistakes will still be committed. So it is not a one-day thing. It is something that all the political parties, including the EC, that needs to go through.
But you've been having IPAC meetings and all.
Exactly.
What has come out of that?
The political parties go to the IPAC meeting. The Electoral Commission sometimes gives the advice as to what needs to be done. Look, when it comes to training of polling agents, we the political parties, we take the trouble to do it. The EC also takes the trouble to do that. But the question is, those that we send there, are they committed to do the work? Are they committed to do the work as it's supposed to be done? The officers that are trained to also be at the polling station, are they also committed to the work? So it is not something that we should put all the blame on the EC. No. We, the political parties, are equally guilty. Because, look, somebody writes something, maybe 700 and something, and then in West he writes 200 and something, and then you go and sign. Is it the fault of the EC? The person made a genuine mistake, but what is your role as a check? Did you also check it? You see, so it is not an easy thing. It is something that encompasses all the stakeholders. If we are all to do our work very well, our elections will be one of the best because we have checks and balances that will help us do the right things. Okay? And what was done at the Supreme Court was to bring out some of the lapses. And these are things that we can easily overcome.
I see. Dr. Glover, again, do you see the commitment from the Electoral Commission to ensure that whatever happened in 2012, all the various issues we heard about are not repeated come 2016? Do you see the commitment from the EC?
Thank you so much, Robert. I think that the headline for me is not
misleading.
It's misleading, that's the word.
The headline is misleading.
Because for Addo to say that electoral reforms need to be looked at by the EC, he's not talking about slamming. He's not slamming the Electoral Commission. So the headline in itself, for me, is not fitting the story.
Nana slams EC.
You know, because he was making reference to the Supreme Court ruling and certain lapses that were
Identified.
brought to fore. You know, that these are the things that really affected the elections. And for that matter, we need to identify, even though it has been identified already, to deal with the problems that came out of it. It's almost a year now. You know, I happen to be a friend to one of the committees in Parliament called Special Budget Committee in Parliament, and the EC, we met a couple of times, and they tell us they form a committee to look at these things. But hey, we have 2 years to go to elections.
True.
And these reforms are very crucial, that we need to have a clear-cut position as to what we want to do on these reforms. And a typical example of this reformation is about the cleaning of the register. And for Addo and the MPP to say that, look, the register in itself is bloated. So the only thing that could solve this problem is to have a fresh one. I don't see anything bad about this at all. We need to look for the money to do it.
A new voters register?
Why not?
That's going to cost so
It's
much.
going to cost, that is democracy. That is democracy. So we must, if we go get money to do for JIDA, if you have money to go and pay for JIDA for people for no work done, you think we can't get money to do this register? People are ready to come on board to support it, because Ghana has become the citadel of democracy in sub-Saharan Africa. And the Supreme Court ruling and the way Ghanaians, the MPP and everybody, the way we conducted ourselves after this verdict. That is why Akufo-Addo was given that responsibility to lead the, what they call it, the Commonwealth into the South African elections. Because he stood tall that it is not his personal interest that he's seeking for, but the people of this country. So if he has come from South Africa with an active voting population of 47.7% and Ghana 56.7%, right? South Africa, they are more than us in terms of population-wise. But look at how ours shot up for almost about 9%. It means something wrong has gone somewhere, that we need to sit down as a country, as a political players, to deal with the substantive issue that has come. And I agree with my senior in saying that we shouldn't blame the EC too much. Sometimes the people who represent us at the polling station are also important. And for me, is that I won by 3, you know.
3 votes?
Yeah, man. If I've not been very watchful, I would have lost by 6 votes. Because one of the polling stations in the Presby Church in Temamaya, my opponent, I had 187. Because at the collation center, all the results were gathered like this, heaped. So they'll pick it like this and they start mentioning NDC so much, MPP so much, PPP. So on that particular polling station, I had 187. And the officer mentioned 178. I was sitting like with my eyes open like an eagle like this. So when you drop the thing, I said, Master, hold on. Pick it. What figure did you mention? He said 178. I said, hold on. I had 187. So quickly he saw the mistake. So he asked, it was myself, the MPP and NDC that were there. All the political parties, they were not there. So he said we should produce our copies. So quickly, we just pull our copy. And Titus Global MPP is 187 and not 178. So they have to add 9 to the 178 to make up the 187. So even though I won by 3, I will have lost by 6 votes. So if you don't have agents who have knowledge, who have experience of the work we do, for example, you have to make sure before your final signature is appended, you have checked almost virtually everything. And trust me, we are going to recruit one of the best people.
So what is the MPP as a party doing about this particular thing? Because you were the ones crying foul in 2012.
So what is 2 issues. Is the reforms that we want the EC and all the political players with our friends in the NDC and other political parties to come into understanding that, look, we need to look at our register once again. When it comes to election day, that is operational matter that we want to deal with that as it happens. You understand?
So the MPP is calling for electoral reforms.
Well, it's the Supreme Court. Ghanaians are calling for electoral reforms. The Supreme Court is representing the people of this country. So if all these anomalies were identified at the Supreme Court, and the EC is being advised to take action on that, what is wrong about it?
So barely 2 years for us to have yet again another election. Does it look like we can have the reforms we talk of? I
am not the referee. It's the Electoral Commission who is the referee.
From where you sit, does it look like we can?
We are calling for it. The Supreme Court has called for it. So we should work towards it. That's what we're saying. Let's work towards it to have a fresh register, clean one, so that everybody will understand him or herself.
Are you in consonance with him on that?
I'm very comfortable with
the current one.
Yeah, no. I know the EC will definitely come out with some changes in terms of how the pink sheets and other things should be handled, because most of the arguments
as well.
Yeah, most of the arguments came as a result of the information provided on the pink sheets. That was where the challenges were. So I believe that these are things that will not be too difficult to handle. But what the political parties are seeking to do now is that they want to see the changes that the EC has brought, or the changes that are going to be made, so that they can also have the benefit to, let's say, look at it and then maybe start working on how to improve in terms of educating their polling agents as to handle those things. And I think for that one, nobody has any problem. But you see, we have one of the best electoral commissions in the world, I must say, and we need to be proud for that as a country. And we need to do everything possible to protect the image of our EC, because that is the only way that we can protect the democracy that we cherish today, that other countries also wish to be like us. So for me, it is not a big deal. These are things that are, how do you call it, paperwork that can be easily done. Because when it comes to the operational matters, to be honest with you, the EC has put in place checks and balances that will make it difficult. Because look, where ballots are printed, we are all there. Where ballots are being packaged, we are there. We pick serial numbers. They give us the opportunity to pick serial numbers, codes, destinations, time for destination, everything. So in my case, for instance, before the documents came to my EC, I was already there. Somebody followed the materials to when the distribution were to be done. We were all there to look at how the distributions were being done. These are things that we all had the opportunity. So when it comes to the operational matters, to be honest with you, the political parties themselves know that the EC has put in place checks and balances, that if we, the political parties, are to go with them, there will be no problem.
So now the NPP is calling for a new voters register, a clean one.
But for me,
let's have a clean slate.
No,
let's
me,
all start from scratch.
With the voters register, you see, we always tend to sometimes misuse resources. Okay, for what I have come to see, the voter register is always renewed in 8 years. That is when we always have fresh register being done. So why do we call for a new register at the end of one election? I don't think we are being fair to Ghanaians. We are not fair. We are not being fair.
Maybe just so we're able to avoid what happened in 2012. Let's just start on a clean slate.
For me, I think that the voter register should be renewed after every 8 years.
That's what
even if not that, after every census, which is 10 years. You see, and then we are making progress as a nation. But if we want to renew registers, it will come to a time, even when it comes to assembly elections, people will call for a new register to be compiled.
So as things stand now, you see it as a waste of resources?
No, it's a waste of resources.
Renewing the voters register?
No. The issues at stake is not the voters register. The issues at stake.
But do you agree? Do you agree with him when he says the voters register is bloated?
In how?
Is it not bloated?
No, how? How was it bloated? Have they bloated the register? Unless he tells us that they found a way to bloat the register, then we will all look at it. But where I stand, I know the register has not been bloated, because the processes, measures that needs to be put in place for registration, we're all there. We all did it. when people are not qualified.
I seem to recall the EC call on the populace, call on Ghanaians to actually come forward and help clean the register. That obviously suggests that not all is well with the register.
You don't know. You know why? When people die.
Not just with that. Not just with that.
You let me come in. When people die, there's the need for the register to be cleaned. And that cannot call for a new register to be put in place. But then if I'm a resident and I know that one of my family members or somebody who is close to us is dead, when the time comes, you go to ensure that that person is expunged from the register. That can be easily done. Okay? When the registration was being done, the political parties were all represented. Okay? When the person is, we feel the person is below the age, we apply the rules. After that, a committee was set up by the Electoral Commission. We looked into the matters. Those that we had evidence, their names were taken off. Those that there were no evidence, that is it. So what at all do we want?
Titus Glover, the NDC doesn't seem to agree with you on that. They don't see anything wrong with the register we have currently.
They will not agree because they know what they do.
What do they do?
They know what they do because if you are going to an election and opponents are raising red flags, that's why we have the Inter-Party Advisory Committee, the IPAC, for them to look at the relevance of the case that we are putting across. So therefore, if the Supreme Court did not see these things, I'm not sure they will not form part of their ruling that they gave us. Of course, they are beneficiary of these wrongs that were seen. So naturally, you don't expect them to agree that we should go and do fresh register. I totally agree with him that he doesn't want the fresh register to be conducted. But we still believe that, yes, there's something seriously going on. And all the political parties, including the referee himself, must sit down and look at this thing and deal with it to make sure that we have something that is generally acceptable to all parties. So for me, the NDC can decide, but they are not only the only political parties that forms parties in this country. They all go and meet the EC because they have the opportunity to meet at IPAC level to raise the issue. And I'm sure now that Addo is talking about it, I've heard Comrade Depo, my General Secretary, when he attended the NDC Congress, he raised the issue about the bloated register and the need for EC to have a look at it once again. So for us making this commentary here is just something preliminary, but the main meat in itself will be brought to IPAC. So there, if the consensus comes, then they should do it. The two of us sitting here cannot.
So it's likely we can have a new.
We need to. It's a must.
Can we have it before 2016?
That is one. The government have to make budget available to release money to get it done. I mean, and it is necessary. It is very. The 2016 elections is a very crucial elections.
But allocations are already being cut. Government is saying we don't have so much money.
We have mid-year reviews. We can call on our partners to support us to come and have a clean register. They can do it. They've been doing the support all the time. So nothing is impossible under this new register to be conducted.
I see. All right.